From inside the Hat-Tricks Lounge at the Danbury Ice Arena, I'm Doug Latuca alongside President of the Danbury Hat-Tricks, Herm Sorcher, and Senior Advisor to the General Manager AJ Galante. We are a couple of days away from our 5th annual Alumni Night, one of the biggest nights in Danbury hockey every single season. The Hat-Tricks are in a playoff push, already clinched their spot trying to lock up the number 2 seed in the Empire Division. And Saturday night will be one of the biggest games of the year on the ice, but also festivities that will happen throughout the night. Herm, what should we expect on Saturday night here at the DIA?
Wow, I mean, number one, hey, Hat-Tricks versus Binghamton, that's always a great night. Binghamton is playing unbelievable this year. Hat-Tricks are on fire. I think we really turned the corner, been hitting our stride since the calendar turned in January. We need this game. We want to clinch second place, so I think on the ice is going to be a tremendous contest. Last time we played Binghamton up there with, I'll say, like our revamped roster, we played them real well. Was it a 3-2 or a 4-3 loss? But we had a 3-1 lead. So this is going to be a good game. I know our fans are going to be really fired up for it. As far as the Alumni Night goes, this is by far my favorite year, or my favorite game of the year, my favorite event, promotion, whatever you want to call it, just to bring back all the individuals who who have worked with teams, who have played, coached, front office, ownership, whoever, whatever, to have them back in the building, to celebrate them, and then to have the Ring of Honor inductees. It's just, man, it's such a night. I love seeing it. It's for the fans, it's for the inductees, it's for the alumni. I love it. It's going to be a great night.
Yeah, we'll have 6 new inductees, all of which we'll touch on in a little bit. AJ, it's the 20th anniversary of your baby, the Danbury Trashers. The Hat-Tricks will be in the race car themed Trashers jerseys on Saturday night. What does Saturday mean to the Trashers, to the Hat-Tricks, to Danbury hockey as a whole?
You know, to spare you from sounding corny, I mean, it is just, I think Herm hit it on the head. I mean, I was lucky to be involved with the first Alumni Night as a guest, and it was really one of those turning points for me. You know, the Trasher doc came out, being inducted in the Ring of Honor with my father. These are things that got me back loving this game, and most importantly, Danbury hockey. And it brings chills to me when I think about it. And Saturday, I mean, to be able to play Binghamton, you know, number one, that's how I would want it. No disrespect, I don't want to play Danville on Alumni Night. I want to play Binghamton on Alumni Night. You know, it's kind of like the house that Ruth built, right, Herm? The old Yankee Stadium, like that Trasher energy has to come out on Saturday. Not with fighting and all that, but just with everything. We have to take this game. All the stars are aligned. Herm hit it on the head. We've closed the gap with Binghamton. I mean, they're playing out of this, one of the best pro hockey teams I've ever seen assembled. But we're coming for that crown, and it starts on Saturday.
Yeah, AJ hoping that the Hat-Tricks bring a bad boy mentality on Saturday to emulate the Danbury Trashers in their 20-year anniversary. And those who followed the team last year and have for the last couple of years, it was Daniel McKittrick overtime winner on Alumni Night last year, and the Hat-Tricks were in the Danbury Titans jerseys, the Danbury Titan-themed jerseys. So hoping to have a repeat of last year and pick up some big points, especially in this playoff push. But it should be a great night. We've got the 6 Ring of Honor members being inducted before the game, then at the first intermission. It will be a mosh posh of every alumni from all the different teams, the Trashers, the Titans, the Whalers, the Mad Hatters, and of course, Hat-Tricks alumni. Now that we're on our 5th year already, it's pretty crazy for you. It must be that we've made it 5 years, and some guys who you remember building this foundation of the Danbury Hat-Tricks are now long gone, and some are champions, and they'll be back on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, what a group. And look, I never want to start anything talking about Danbury hockey and all the teams without always recognizing my man over there and his dad, the Galante family. Just, look, no one is standing here without you guys, without you and your dad and what you put together in 2004 and how you launched it and how you revamped this arena. And really, you had a vision, you had a dream. There's that Elvis song. What's that? I Had a Dream or whatever, something like that. I was listening to it today, and it really man, it's like, wow, everything happened because of that, and all the people who have come through here, all those opportunities are because of your family. So that being said, we've had 15 years of pro hockey. The Trashers, the Mad Hatters, the Whalers, the Titans, and now the Hat-Tricks. And to see the Hat-Tricks in the 5th year, it's just amazing. And then, the inductees, the names and what they did here and what they've contributed, it's just an unreal list of people who are going up there. And, there's still so many others who we could recognize for something that they did. But, yeah, just exciting all around.
It's going to be an exciting night. Now, AJ, want to touch on your time here in Danbury. You've had your fingerprints on a lot of the Danbury history with hockey, with the Trashers, now with the Hat-Tricks. What are some of your favorite memories here at the Danbury Ice Arena, going back to when you were a teenager and now growing up in the arena and working with the Hat-Tricks?
It's so tough to pinpoint. I think the April 1st press conference before we even started, announcing we're bringing a team on April Fool's Day, and literally, before social media, before leaks and everything, like, people thought it was a joke, kind of set the tone there, really. Opening night is something I'll never forget, being there with my family, my mom, my dad, my sister. Just as you get older, those sentimental memories mean a lot more, but oh man, there's just so many. Wingfield's revenge game, I guess you could call it. That was highlighted on the documentary. So many great moments, but just the camaraderie of the team and Section 102. The fans in general. There's no Danbury hockey without them, honestly. And to Herm's point, we always appreciate the respect that we planted the seeds of pro hockey here, but our vision was always long term. And in a marathon, you got to pass the baton on the track. It's not a sprint. So what the Hat-Tricks organization has done is just, they're over double the amount of time here. This is a Hat-Tricks town, and super proud to be part of it this year. And we're gonna have a nice playoff run and hopefully raise a trophy at the end.
Yeah, looking for our second Commissioner's Cup championship. Herm, in terms of memories, I know we sat down with Billy McCreary last year. You guys hashed out some New Jersey and Danbury rivalry things that eventually brought Billy over here.
Yeah.
If you had to pinpoint your favorite memory, Danbury hockey, number one memory. There's a lot. You've won 2 championships.
Yes.
You've been to 4 as an exec member.
Yeah.
Danbury Whalers seems like there's not a day that goes by that he's not talking about the Whalers or trying to maybe kiss this jersey. It doesn't end. He loves this jersey. So I think his favorite memory is going to be with the Whalers, but we'll pass it over to you.
It's oh, wow. It's always so hard to nail it. And I always try to say to myself, hey, the easy one to pick is just say, hey, Marchesson scored a goal in overtime. The place went absolutely nuts. I couldn't believe it happened. Zach Pamelayan to Xavier Abdella to Mike Marchesson for the goal, and we win. And I remember just thinking, like, oh, my God, I got to get a table and go on the ice for the trophy. And I was just like, I can't believe this just happened. It's so easy to say that, so I'm not. Okay. So some big ones for me. The Alec Kirshner penalty shot in the first season against Brooklyn. There were 16 seconds left in the game. We scored on a penalty shot to tie it up. Chris Seifert won it in overtime. To me, there was the largest crowd. I think that was the largest crowd we ever had in the building. And I always say that was just like that water cooler moment. We lost that playoff series, but that Monday at school, at work, at the water cooler, that Monday, so many people were talking about, hey, were you at the Whaler game? You wouldn't believe what happened. And I think that carried us for the next, 4 or 5 years. And I think it just was one of those big stamps. There was the Sean O'Malley goal in overtime against Brooklyn on a Sunday afternoon in the playoffs that won it. It was, I can't remember the holiday. Maybe it was Mother's Day or Easter or whatever it was. It wasn't, it was an elimination game, but it was a Sunday afternoon, probably like 5 p.m. So there was maybe like 500, 600 people here. But it was the loudest, like one of the loudest moments you'd ever have. And he won that game. our guy, I know we're going to get into this guy, but Daniel Amesbury, the first time he ran someone over on Binghamton, you're just like, oh my God, did this really just happen? Like, this guy, I think he just killed someone. And you're like, wow, everything that we thought we were getting with him has just arrived. It was amazing. So, I mean, look, I could do it all day. Those are a few quick ones from me. And I'm just so honored every day to walk in this building. Every day.
I guess that was a great transition from Herm, because we can touch on Diamond Hands and your relationship with Daniel Amesbury, bringing him over, and what he meant to the Hat-Tricks the last couple of years. Now elevated up into the ECHL, always following his career, and seems like he's doing some great stuff. But what is your relationship like with Amesbury now that he's up? You still do the podcast, you're still talking to him, and he's still one of the most popular players in Danbury Hat-Tricks history.
I tell people, and I mean this humbly, I don't have any skills. The only skill I've ever had as a kid, if you want to say 20 years ago with that Trashers, and it's not just me, it's a team, but I've always had an eye, not just for talent, but for entertainment. And there's some guys that just, right off the bat are like different. And when I met Daniel Amesbury through Ice Wars, back in 2022, I knew immediately, talking to him through direct message on Instagram, I was like, this guy's different, and there's something about him I like, and ends up winning the King of the Ring tournament in Ice Wars. I remember talking to Herm going into the 2022 season, like, hey, I know you've been out of the game, any tough guys lingering out there, and I just remember telling him and John Krapinski, I'm like, look, you guys do what you want, but this guy Diamond Hands, if you take the chance, I'm telling you, it's gonna blow up. And it made me feel good because he did his part and made me look like a genius for a half a minute. But it's one of those things where he's a special type of guy on and off the ice. I mean, he's like a brother at this point to me, and I'm just so happy. And his time in Danbury got him there, because people watch Danbury. Whether it doesn't matter what league it is, people see what's going on here, and that's why a lot of guys have moved up. And Billy McCreary, Markison. I mean, so many guys. Having this stamp on your passport, being in Danbury, it means something. You know what I mean? And Ames is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, definitely carries some weight. The Danbury pipeline that was built really around the efforts of a guy like Billy McCreary and the rest of the staff here. One of our 6 inductees in the class of 2025, Danbury Ring of Honor. We need some more wall space, Herm. We're running out of wall space here at the DIA. The list continues to grow of legends that are going into the Ring of Honor. We could start right there with Billy, because we picked it up. I mean, I worked with Billy last year. One of the greatest guys to work with, knows the ins and outs of hockey, and extremely happy for him that he has moved up and continues to go up the ladder. And of course, a champion, one of the most winningest, the most winningest coach in Hat-Tricks history.
I would just call Billy the best coach in the. I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I'm gonna say he's the best coach in the history of the Federal Hockey League. I really believe that, and I think it means like everything. Like. He brought his A game every day. He was a tireless recruiter. He was so committed to his team's success, his players' success, and then I think what really brought him to the next level was he was a showman here. He put on a show every single night in our building and in the visiting buildings. He made it entertaining, and whether my history with Billy started out where I was like, I want to send out our toughest guy, and I want someone to just kill him. I can't take watching him play for the New Jersey Outlaws. But in the end, it became, this guy is so talented and so amazing. We got to work with him, and that's really how it started. And when we launched the Hat-Tricks, it was Billy is the guy for this city, and a coach who can energize your city is so important. And I think Billy did that so well, and he led us to the championship, and he blended the team, the locker room, all with the fans in the city. And look, those playoff games that season, 6 games, 6 wins, 3 straight against I mean, obviously 6 straight, but 3 straight against Carolina. You know, that was an unbelievable weekend. I don't think you could duplicate that. It was amazing. So Bill, you know what Billy did. You know, my man, he is well deserving of this honor, and I'm really happy for us to put his name up there, to have that for him. He deserves it, and I know Billy's just going to continue to do great things in hockey.
Yeah, Commissioner's Cup champion, FPHL Coach of the Year, and an FPHL Founder Award winner as well, among the many accolades that Billy McCreary has on his resume, now with the Kalamazoo Wings in the ECHL. He's inductee number 1. We still have 5 more, 2 of which were members of the Danbury Trashers. One would be sitting in my spot interviewing you, if not for me. If this was 2004, it would be Phil Jubileo and then the goaltender, Sly Daig.
Yeah, I mean, Phil was our first employee. You know, I mean, before players, it was kind of like, oh, it's funny, a father-son team, the kid's 17, haha, that's funny. But then it's like, oh, we need people to work, you know? And Phil, I don't even know how he found us, but I just remember Phil. I remember my dad calling me. I was still in high school. Hey, you got to come to the office after school. We're interviewing a guy. I said, all right, we go. I don't know what I'm doing, Doug. My dad low-key doesn't know what he's doing with this either. And we sit there, and Phil comes in. He was young, too. I mean, I don't remember exactly, but he was younger. And I like the fact that he was a little younger, because I'm like, there's not going to be a lot of guys around my age, right? So he's a little older, but we sat down, and Phil tells it best. But, I mean, and I think Herm knows how my dad is. The interview went a little bit like this. All right, what do you do? Oh, I'm a play-by-play guy, communications. What do you want to make? Phil threw out a number, and all right, yeah, you start Monday. And that was the job interview. And I love when Phil tells a story, and it's so true. And, I mean, listen, he was worth every penny. I mean, he was the voice here. He was the first voice of pro hockey here. And, you know, same with you. You're the voice now, and you do more than that. And he would be at all the community events. He'd be doing so much, and he was a huge part. And he deserves it. And, you know, some of the, I mean, I know you guys like you have like certain phrases or like your taglines. I mean, I'll never forget John Morasti beating the proverbial crap out of Ryan Bennett here on WWE night at the DIA. I mean, that's a call that is stuck in my head for 20 years. And that's Phil. And as far as Sly Daig goes, he was our opponent our first year. He was with the Muskegon Fury. We were lucky enough to get to the playoffs our first year. We made it to the semis against Muskegon, and we played again. We didn't really see them that first year, and this little butterball of a goalie was just standing on his head. He was a right-hand catch, which is different. Most goalies catch with, and I just remember being like Herm was saying about Billy. I was so frustrated. I was like, can someone run this man? Because we can't get he was a little mini butterball brick wall, I guess, and he somehow was available that offseason, and we called him, we got him, and he brought us right to the championship our second year. It didn't go our way, but he was just a fan favorite, unbelievable goalie. I mean, he was actually a goalie that was fun, truly fun to watch. So I'm proud of both of them, and well-deserving.
Yeah, congratulations to both of them. Sly, one of the 2 goalies that are going into the Ring of Honor. Another one wore this jersey with the Danbury Whalers. Mike Brown was another brick wall type. We've had a lot of great goaltending in Danbury hockey history. We've got one right now in Connor McCullum, who is the all-time winningest goalie in hat-tricks history, leads the franchise in shutouts. And Mike Brown, another great representative of strong goaltenders in Danbury hockey history.
Yeah, you know, when you look at the history of Danbury hockey, it's like you got tough guys, a tough team, and you got some incredible goalies. And we've had so many good goalies, incredible goaltenders in this building. And Mike Brown was an NHL draft pick, just like Sly Daig was. And he came to us at the end of his career. I think it was, maybe the veteran rule or something in the Southern Pro League was going to make it difficult for him to continue there. So we got him in 2013 or 2012-13 season. And we're like, wow, this could really be a game changer. And Mike went on to play 3 years for the Danbury Whalers, was the winningest goalie of all time of any team that's ever played there. Now maybe, Connor McCollum could catch him maybe next year. We hope Connor goes on to some great things. But Mike Brown played here 3 years, had an unbelievable playoff run in the 2013 playoffs. He went 6-0, was unbelievable, and he was the playoff MVP. And only 2 guys in the history of this city have been playoff MVPs, and Mike was one of them. Actually, how about this? They're both named Mike. How about that? Now that's amazing. But Mike Brown was phenomenal, and what I also loved about Mike was we would also, just sitting around the office, we'd always talk about like, hey, who's the toughest guy? I think Mike Brown was maybe one of the best fighters on the Danbury Whalers. We had Anthony Pisano, we had Corey Fulton, we had Julian Frazier, we had a whole host of guys who could. McCrimmon, Jay, the Motor City hitter. We had so many good fighters. But I tell you, Mike Brown, he was tough. He was real tough. I know he fought once against Dayton, but he you didn't want to mess with him. And Mike's had an unbelievable hockey history. Played in the American Hockey League, and finished his career here in Danbury. And I know he has fond memories here, and I'm looking forward to seeing Mike. It'll be the first time for him back in the building in a long time, but well-deserved for him. Playoff MVP, winningest goalie of all time.
4 through 6. We've got 2 more that we haven't touched on. One hat trick, a Commissioner's Cup champion, and the other who's a multi-time champion. He's practically been on the staff of every Danbury hockey team that's ever been. We'll start with Gordy with the hat tricks, Gordy Bonnell, who is a Commissioner's Cup champion, a grinded-out forward who could score some goals, and another glue guy I felt. I was not here when he was on the roster, but when you listen to guys like Johnny Ruiz and Kyle Gonzalez and even Billy McCreary talk about Gordy, it seems like he was a crucial part to that Commissioner's Cup run.
Yeah. Gordy was the heart and soul, the glue guy. He was a big part of it. These are the things that stand out to me with Gordy. I'd say 3 things. Let me give you 3 things. Number 1, unbelievable teammate. And there was a game. I don't remember who the opponent was. I don't remember what happened. Somebody ran Johnny Ruiz. And if you did anything to Johnny Ruiz in front of Gordy, you were dead. Okay? Gordy, either was on the ice or came off the bench or did whatever. He made a beeline for this guy. Gloves were off, and he had one mission. I was going to get this guy. He was going to get this guy, and he did. And that, to me, was like, if I'm Johnny Ruiz, if I'm a guy on the bench, if I'm a teammate, I'm like, man, this guy is willing to jump in there at any moment, no matter who, what, where, when, or why, and he's gonna defend me. Unbelievable teammate. The other memory I really love with Gordy was, when you watch the championship video and you watch the guys celebrating in the locker room, like there's different levels of excitement and who's doing what. I think Gordy had the best time. I really do. I think he knew he was retiring. I think he knew that was his last game. And he's like, I can't do it any better. I can't script it any better. And I think that comes out in that video when you watch it again. And I've watched it a million times, and I'll watch it a million more. Gordy was the one who really, I think really enjoyed it the most. And I'm so happy about that. The last one I'll give you, not a lot of people even know about this. Gordy played for Mentor earlier in his career. And somehow we got him. And I remember taking a call from Mentor, and they're like, oh, we released this guy. He's not really, I don't know. Again, the teams talk, hey, we want to help you here. Not really sure. They weren't really that high on Gordy there. And probably about 3 or 4 months later, I get a call from the same guy, and he's like, just want to see what's happening on the trade front. Yeah, who are you interested in? And again, I really don't deal with this, Billy or whoever, but the guy knew me, so he called me. He's like, I'm interested in getting Gordy back. I'm like, didn't you tell me a couple months? And he's like, yeah, you know what? He's like, we made a mistake. And that to me really echoed, Gordy was just an unsung player that, if you look at his numbers, I think he scored 4 goals his last season with us. His points aren't in the top leaders, but his the barometer, the thermometer, whatever it is, on the team, being a teammate and being a team player, off the charts. And I think that echoed in the time he was here, and it's why he's, when we were putting, when we were considering guys to be in the Ring of Honor, Gordy was like a lock to be there, definitely.
Yeah, and the last one that's going into the Ring of Honor, he's a champion, multi-time. He has been there really from the jump. He seems to be Mr. Danbury. If it's not Johnny Ruiz, it's Johnny Krapinski. And AJ, we'll start with you. Seems like your relationship goes a long way back with John and everything that he's done with Danbury Hockey.
Yeah, you talk about glue guys. I mean, he's an off-ice glue guy, right? Like, he's a guy you want in your locker room, rub elbows with him. He's one of these guys that has the gift of the gab in a good way, meaning he's a guy you want out there, can recruit. People love him. He resonates with the fans. He's one of us. He's a Danbury guy, basically. You know what I mean? So he's just one of these guys that's just a pillar of the hockey community here. And frankly, glue guy is the best. I mean, you just hit it on the head. That's what Danbury is, right? Glue guys. We have some really good players. We have guys that put up set. But, I mean, if you look at down the history of Danbury hockey, minus a few, occasional guys, we don't have those top 5 point guys, goal guys, assist guys, but we win because we have the Gordy Bonnells, the players in the mold of Billy McCreary, guys you hate but want on your team. And that's the difference between, everyone talks about they have a culture. Danbury, we have a culture. It's the glue guys, it's the grinders, and we get it done collectively. And John is a perfect example of that, out of skates, I guess you can say. He's it would be so weird without him,
I always love when Krapinski comes up into the office and he's always screaming for Herm. Where is this guy? Always looking to have a chat about hockey, what's going on with the team. Herm, what's your relationship like with John?
I absolutely love Johnny. I'm a New Jersey guy, and when I came to Danbury, Johnny was one of the first people who reached out to me in 2009, heading into 2010 with the Whalers, and he's like, hey, here's what I do, here's what I've done with the teams, and I can help you. And I'm like, okay, what's coming next? Again, I was just naturally on the defensive, and he's like, all that I want is just give me like a tracksuit or something. And I was like, wow. I was like, no problem. And I'll tell you, 15, 16 years later, Johnny is one of my best friends. Absolutely a guy I can count on for anything, everything. As it relates to Danbury hockey, he's an MVP. He's a cornerstone of what we've done. He's a foundation. He's always recruiting. And then in the community, he's the unofficial mayor. He knows everybody here. He can do everything and anything here. And he has helped hockey in Danbury so many different ways. Made so many introductions. He's an unbelievable part of what we do here. And, again, it starts with the Galante family. But then there have been so many people who, AJ, as you said, who carried that baton, who took it and ran with it and are still running with it. Johnny's one of those guys, just everything. He does it all here.
All legends, 6 new members of the class of 2025 into the Danbury Ring of Honor. Super excited about that. If you want to read more on their accomplishments and their bios, you can go to danburyhattricks.com. Our Alumni Night, the 5th annual, is this Saturday, 7 p.m. Any closing thoughts from you guys? Herm will start it up.
Come on. I mean, this, to me, this is just everything. You mentioned, I didn't really talk about Phil today, but Phil Jubileo, I'm going to make, I'm not a Yankee fan, but I'm going to make a Yankee reference because of their greatness and the history, and I can respect that.
You should.
Oh, wow. Well, to me, Phil Jubileo is like the Babe Ruth of hockey announcers in Danbury, and Phil started it, and he's got the numbers and the posts, and he's gone on to some great things. But then there's DiMaggio, Mantle, Munson, and all the guys, and Casey Bryant, Josh Starr, Zach McGinnis, Chris Lynch, and you, Doug, all you guys, you all make, me so proud of the things that we're doing. And Phil was the guy who started it, and look at what he's gone on to call a national champion in the NCAA hockey, Division I hockey. All of you guys have accomplished so much. So I love, to me that fits. And, a question I have for AJ, here we are on camera here, so much time together, connected and not connected here. And what, you can't say the Trashers. What's your favorite uniform? I know you and me love the uniforms. What's your favorite uniform or sweater that any of the teams have worn in Danbury? And you can't say the Trashers.
I like that one. I like that one. I love the hat. I mean, when I heard of the hat tricks, I wasn't involved. I wasn't really around. I remember seeing the logo, and I knew immediately it was Dom Alessandro. I was like, that's got Alessandro's name written all over it. And I mean, it's just it's the first thing I said is, oh, that's a rabid rabbit right there. You know what I mean? And only a guy like Dom could take a rabbit and make it look tough and mean, and it just fit. But that's another, I gotta really think about it. The Whaler green grew on me because I always tried to be like a heel bad guy type. So the traditional Hartford Whalers, that green, but that's we might have to swap. You know what I mean? We might have to make a jersey swap. And I gotta say, you know what I mean? This is about the 6 guys going in this week, and I don't want to take it from them. But when do we, Doug, start talking about next year? Because how is Herm Sorcher not in the Ring of Honor? And I think that's something I don't like to push my weight that much, but I think we have to really consider. I got 2 ideas for Herm next year if they're having me back. And one of them is, how do we get this man in the Ring of Honor? Because, look, it's great, the Trashers, you never forget your first. Everyone remembers, and we did some cool and good things, but we never won a title. This guy, you got 2? What are you, 2? So I'm really disturbed, and he can't say it, but I'm disturbed he is not in the Ring of Honor. So I'm putting it out there first. First ballot, I guess it's your first ballot. First ballot Hall of Famer's got to be next year.
We got to talk to the higher ups.
I would just say, look, thank you. I appreciate it. There's about 1,000 people in line in front of me. And I say that as truthfully and as humbly as I could say it. So many people in front of me. And I would not be here without any of those, without those people, no way.
Herm is a very humble man. Humble Herm, I call him. But he deserves to be in the Ring of Honor, and he should be. And again, I don't like throwing weight around. I'm no different than anyone here. Herm Sorcher for 2026. Is that 2026 next year?
Yes.
Herm Sorcher for 2026. I'm also petitioning a Herm Sorcher night. I have ideas for jerseys and bobbleheads. So please message me on Instagram for more information on that.
Are we getting bald caps for that night?
I am petitioning now for a Herm Sorcher night, almost like the Halloween night, best costume. I want everyone dressed as Herm. I have ideas. I'm going to enter the contest myself. And I believe I'd be willing to take the mic because he never gets to enjoy the game. People forget Herm is working, and you know what? I think he should enjoy that game, and I'll take the mic and do my best Herm impressions. And I have a couple things for Herm next year, but class of 2026, he has to be in the mix somewhere. That's just my humble opinion.
I think that's a brilliant idea. We're not even going to let you comment because Humble Herm doesn't need to come out here as we wrap up this video. Alumni Night is this Saturday. It's the second to last home game of the year, the 29th, 7 p.m. We'll induct the 6 Ring of Honor members pregame here in the Actrix Lounge. And then at the first intermission, it'll be a nice ceremony. All the alumni that are coming into town will be honored, announced to the crowd, and it should be another historic night here at the Danbury Ice Arena. And the Hattricks are looking for another win as they try to lock up the number 2 seed. If you want more information, you can head to danburyhattricks.com. You can purchase your tickets. If you want to read more about the night, that's also available on our website under our Fan Central and Community tabs. Herm and AJ, thanks so much. We'll see you guys Saturday night when the Binghamton Black Bears come to town for our 5th annual Alumni Night.